right. So congratulations on your mini special coming out. Tell us a little bit about, maybe some fun that you had doing that. Tell us a little bit about the project, and then, maybe anything funny that might have happened behind the scenes.
Yeah. So I have one special that's out on Amazon, which you alluded to recently. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with the company OnlyFans, whether you subscribe to people or not. I don't know. That's not my business. But they started working with Whitney Cummings, Bert Kreischer, did a couple comedy roasts on their platform to launch LMAOF, which is their comedy centric channel. So they've been really working to open up the doors for creators beyond what they're known for. I think, things just kind of got away from them as far as how people were utilizing their own platform. So their team has been trying to redesign how people utilize the platform. So they started working with chefs, with race car drivers, and they started this whole comedy channel. So they reached out to me to shoot a mini special, which works out perfectly because my first comedy special was shot on my canceled wedding, which is very nuanced. That was a very specific situation that I turned the room for. And my next special, I want to step into a space that kind of honors my late grandfather, who was a jazz and blues musician in Chicago. So it's going to have like an artsy feel to it as well. And I had this chunk of material that kind of needed to get out that doesn't really fit the new scope of the hour that I'm working for, kind of connects the dots. So it worked out that they offered a mini special. It's like a 10-minute special that'll be coming out really soon. And it answers some of the questions from post canceled wedding to where things are headed now. So kind of timed out really perfectly.
Can you kind of just rewind a little bit and tell us a little bit about your story and how this registry got started and your breakup, and tell us as many bad things about this other guy that you could think of. I think that would be a good start.
Well, I'll start with saying that I was in that relationship for 9 years. I'd been in this person's life for 14 years. So we had been friends for many years before we started dating. My relationship with him was the majority of my life in Los Angeles. I now live in Chicago, but I still part-time in Los Angeles because I'm there all the time. So we were together for 7.5 years before he proposed. And I think by then I had already kind of started to think that would never happen. So there was already this kind of separation feeling, and it felt like the proposal was a band-aid in a lot of ways. I'm sure people have been there with relationships, either get a dog or get a ring or whatever it is to try to hold things together. So we were supposed to get married in 2018. We postponed a year because we weren't ready. And then we were supposed to get married in 2019, and that ended up getting canceled. So I turned the room within 3 weeks, found one of my favorite directors in LA that was so excited and available. He flew out, hired a production team. We shot it. I sold the room out. So some people were there that were supposed to be at my wedding. And a lot of people just bought tickets, heard about it through the grapevine, saw it in the news and stuff. And so shot the special, did my own distribution deal with Amazon through a comedy distributor called Comedy Dynamics. And then during the process of waiting for that to come out, because it was shot in 2019 and came out in 2021, that's when I built my breakup registry, when I was actually going through my own breakup in a pandemic.
So just so I understand, everybody understands. So you said you turned the room. So you basically took this, because you were supposed to get married. So it was like you had the places rented out, and so turn the room, that means that you basically did a comedy special that night that you were kind of supposed to get married. You ended up doing a special on that.
Yeah,
okay, all right.
Exactly. Yeah, so it was in Madison, which is where I'm from, Madison, Wisconsin. And we were going to use this venue. And one of my good friends, Nate Craig, he's a comedian that's from Wisconsin as well. He used to do comedy shows in that space around the holidays. So I hit him up and I was like, do you think that they would turn my room into a special? And he's like, Yeah, of course. Yeah, they have the stage for it. That's the stage you were going to get married on. And then my boyfriend now was also a Madison comedian, so he knew them. And he was like, you know, if you pitch to them that you're going to shoot a special instead and showcase the outside of their venue, they'll probably change your pricing. So they totally redesigned the pricing package for me because it was not a wedding, which is crazy because weddings are like 10x more expensive. So I was able to shoot the entire special for a fraction of what the wedding was going to cost. And it was the exact same food, the exact same seating, the exact same hours, the exact same bar plan. So I had open bar and everything.
And you charged tickets for
Yeah.
people actually paid to come as well.
Yeah.
So that worked out.
Yeah.
So you really are an entrepreneur. So you really are an entrepreneur. You're like, okay, this asshole just broke up with me. I'm going to turn this into a lucrative business venture. This is what happened. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah. And I made to the dollar in ticket sales what it cost me to shoot the entire thing. To the dollar. It was crazy.
Wow.
I did price.
And so did you?
Yeah.
So did you like come up with what was a lot of the material? Because I have not seen that special.
Yeah.
So I mean, but was the material a lot about the breakup and like? Is that a lot?
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of material for like about weddings and about breakups and things like that?
You know, I had been doing stand-up for 10 years at that point. So yeah, I mean, I had a lot of material. I had probably 2 hours worth of material that I was sitting on. But as everybody knows in comedy, you know, you throw away a lot of that material that you just don't want to put into a special. And then there was some stuff that I had to write just for that day. And it was a one take just because it was, you know, there's not multiple takes. There was just one take. So I had to kind of hope for the best with some of the material because I had written some of it especially for that specific circumstance. There was a couple stories I added in that were true, like about me crashing a wedding that I added into the special. I used to love crashing weddings, and I had a really epic one that I crashed a number of years ago.
Okay, you got to tell me about it because I have a dream of being a wedding crasher. So it's like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
So tell me about what was this wedding you crashed?
It was my birthday in 2019. And I was like, I always like to do something adventurous. I'm more of like an experienced person than I am a stuffed person. So I had this dream of crashing like a really impossible wedding for a while. When I first moved to LA in 2011, I had worked at the Four Seasons for like 2 years in their lounge. So I had a lot of insider information from the Four Seasons. Everybody knew that this was like a dream of mine. So I found out about this really big wedding, and it's a really, really big wedding. It was like a billionaire family, hoteliers, they own a lot of very big properties. And I knew of the family because I actually shot a commercial for one of those properties, like, you know, back in like 2013, 2014. And so I started doing some research, and I found out one of the family members was getting married at the Four Seasons. So I had a bunch of friends kind of doing some due diligence and figuring out like the timing of the wedding schedule and stuff. So I showed up at the Four Seasons right between the ceremony and the reception, and whittled my way into a red carpet, was like they were photographing everybody and putting them on like this like billboard walking in, and they had me and my now ex up there flashing all night because we were dressed really good, like we looked the part, and nobody knew who we were, but they just accepted us in, and we already knew everybody's names because we did research. And I had all these bucket list items, like, you know, getting approval from the bride, getting a video with one of the wedding party, and I got all this stuff. I danced with one of the elders and hammed it up. And then when it started to kind of fade away at the end of the night, and there was like 15 people left, we were like, all right, we gotta go.
Yeah. It's gonna get way too obvious. So, wow, that is fun. If you like this video and you would like to watch another clip, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.